Okay, so hello YouTube once again, and in this video we are just going to overview this MacBook. As you may know, I got this MacBook a couple weeks ago, or more, almost like a month ago right now, but basically in that video I unboxed it. Also in that video I unboxed this MacBook. Here's the box right now, it's just sitting on top of it. I also have this J5 Create USB ports, USB-C to HDMI, USB 3.0, and more USB-C ports basically. And in addition to that, I have this Samsung monitor, which is connected to the MacBook at this moment. So this MacBook is actually the lowest spec MacBook Pro, which you can buy today, right now, brand new from Apple. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM, Core i5. I believe that this does have a 128 gigabyte hard drive or an SSD. So just look at the specifications and about this Mac. As you see here, it is running macOS Sierra. It is a 13-inch MacBook Pro. It's a 2017 version. As you may have noticed, it has 2 Thunderbolt ports, as it is not the one with the touch bar, which has 4. It has a 2.3 GHz Core i5 processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM, DDR3, and Intel Iris Plus graphics. Woohoo for that. The graphics, I believe you can upgrade them via the USB-C port, but I don't really have that right now. So a question you may have right now is, why would you ever want to have a computer with only basically 2 ports? It also has a headphone port, but I connect my headphones through the monitor right here, and that seems to work better. But the reason why you would want a computer with so little ports is simply for portability reasons. For example, let's just close this, and then we could easily just do here. I'm not going to do that because I'm recording this video, the USB-C port, but that's an example why. These 2 USB-C ports work almost like a dock, for example. So just like back when we had iPods and iPads, this is actually an iPad dock, you could just slot your iPad right here. In much the same way the USB-C ports work on this MacBook to dock it in and out as if it were an iPod or an iPad or something. With a normal laptop which has a bunch of ports, it can sometimes be difficult to easily remove and connect back up all the ports. But for this, I think its main use, it is a very good computer if you want to have something that is both portable and can be easily converted into a desktop. And I think that's the good part of this MacBook. I also prefer this 13-inch form factor. It is very portable, even when compared to 15-inch MacBooks, much less other computers. So just to show for an example, this is my old laptop which I had used for quite a while. This is actually from 2011. This is an Asus laptop. See, it does have a bunch more ports, but in fact they do less. You have HDMI, VGA, 2 USB ports, you got a network port, and then on the other side you have a DVD drive, more ports, and a lock. As you can see, even without the battery, which this has right now, this is a pretty heavy laptop. It's much heavier than this other one. Also, in comparison, it's quite a bit longer, and some people like to have bigger screens, but I think that really defeats the purpose of a laptop of this size. I think 13 inches is one of the best form factors for a laptop, which you can have. It is big enough to not have a screen that's small, and the keyboard is a reasonable size, but it's still small enough to the point where you could fit it in almost a folder. Any backpack this would work. I can fit this in a backpack too, but it does stretch out, and it is, once again, very heavy, and you notice you're carrying it. With this, you do not notice that you're carrying it. One specification that this computer has over the MacBook is, while the MacBook does have an SSD, which is much faster than this computer's hard drive, this computer has 300 gigabytes of a hard drive. This MacBook only has about 128 gigabytes of a solid state drive. That may seem as if it is a problem, but it's actually a lot more manageable considering cloud storage is what I use for a lot of things. I upload quite a bit of documents to Google Drive, for example, and you can have multiple Google accounts. With more Google Drive, you could get more of that. There are also other cloud hosting options. And in addition to that, you can see it right here, but this is a 128 gigabyte flash drive. I do not carry that flash drive with me whenever I take the laptop around, but that laptop is here as part of, I guess, the dock setup, and that adds additional storage. Many of these YouTube videos are stored off the computer onto that drive, which can store, again, 108 gigabytes. That's the same amount of storage as on the rest of the laptop. So the storage of the laptop is effectively doubled. And this isn't even counting, you could get, for a reasonable price, you could get an external hard drive. And that would be a better option for there. One thing that is kind of annoying about these docks, they come in multiple variations, so it's not really something with the MacBook. Was, as you can see here, this is the camera which I'm using is connected to the Apple official version, which goes directly from USB-C to USB. I had to do this because this dock only has two normal USB ports. One of them has a flash drive, the other one has the keyboard, which I use with this computer. The mouse, I have this Magic Mouse, and it doesn't require any connectors. It's just Bluetooth, which is good. You could also get a Bluetooth keyboard, but that's not what I have. So the keyboard also goes into that. I'm actually using an Apple Pro keyboard with this computer, and this Apple keyboard does have two USB ports on the front of it, but they really don't provide enough power, and they are only USB 2.0, so you can't really do much with them. As many of you may already know, the keys on this computer are pretty flat. They have very low travel. The trackpad I don't think has actually any travel at all. But consider this as an option between an iPad and a normal laptop. Whereas a normal laptop or computer would have keys, an iPad would just have a touch screen. And this is kind of the middle ground between the two, so it is actually very manageable to use. And of course, I have that other keyboard with actual travel in the keys when the computer is docked up. So that has been an overview of this MacBook computer. Is it worth $1,200? Maybe, maybe not. Is it a good computer? Yes. Should you get one? Depends on what you're gonna do. If you're gonna be using it in desktop mode and as a laptop, that's really, I think, the point where this computer is good. So that's the end of that.